Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Well, last night we did a Wild Card Wednesday. I was doing that for Eric Thomas Metal 75's channel, and that went well. And we were kind of tired, but got some sleep, feeling good. Here we are at 5:52 a.m. Central Standard Time, January 24th, 2019, and we have from around 1933. I know the company is from a long time before that, but this particular brand, J&B, the Justinian and Brooks House Whiskey, J&B Rare, from about 1933, 40% alcohol, no age statement. Used to be stronger alcohol like many whiskey brands. They say that the backbone of this whiskey is Speyside single malt, which gives it a fruity note. And we're going up against something that came out in 1965, and it was introduced by Chivas Brothers. The Chivas Brothers introduced the 100 Pipers in 1965, blended Scotch whiskey. And Chivas Brothers was already a Seagram's company by then, so it's really Seagram's introduced it. In the United States, it's just called 100 Pipers Blended Scotch Whiskey, and it's handled by Heaven Hill, and it's even bottled by Heaven Hill. But it's a Pernod-Ricard brand, okay? So that's who produces it over in the Kingdom of Scotland. And if you go outside the United States, it'll say very prominently Seagram's 100 Pipers. Okay. But Seagram's is a company that no longer exists. It's simply a name. It's the best-selling Scotch whiskey in India. In the United States, it's an outlier. It kind of lurks around on the shelves. I don't know if it was ever really popular. It may have been in the early 70s when I was not exactly tuned into what was popular whiskey. I've talked to somebody working at a liquor department counter, and she said, yeah, it sells pretty well over here. It's about $8.99 to $9.99 for a 750. $8.99 to $9.99. I got it for $8.99. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. And you can see it's got that Heaven Hill bottle, which is that straight line from the curve to the bottom, that straight line. You can tell those Heaven Hill bottles, because when David Garlapete and I were doing the Tom Sims bourbon review, I kept looking at, it doesn't say on there Tom Sims Distillery, no longer in business, just the name was acquired. And I kept saying, I think that's a Heaven Hill bottle. I think that's Heaven Hill. And it was. All right. And then the J&B has like the really fantastic looking label. Maybe the best Scotch whiskey label in the world. It's just so sharp. Green with the gold, green with the yellow and the red. This is produced under a royal warrant. It's an official supplier to the royal house, the royal dynasty of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, commonly called the House of Windsor since 1917. Now, that's mostly an honorary title. They do that in Thailand with Singa beer, and in Denmark with Tuborg and Carlsberg. But they like to put that on the label. This is a special appointment to the royal family. Okay. There's also a J&B honey, a J&B honey. That's what it says on the label. J&B, you know, a bee, a honey bee, not the letter B. J&B honey, which I've never seen, nor have I tried. I couldn't try it if I hadn't seen it. They make some other upper level J&B variants that you may see from time to time. I've never seen them, but they exist. Okay. Let's look at it like this. if the J&B is costing me $22 a bottle, but in my case, they had it on sale at ABC Liquor in St. Petersburg, but normally gonna pay $22. But we're gonna go by what I paid, $18.99 versus $8.99. That's $10. So yeah, I think the J&B is gonna win, okay? But is it gonna be $10 a bottle better? That's the question. That is the question. These two blended Scotch whiskeys, both 40% alcohol, the common level these days. 100 Pipers, they got this big essay on the back, which it's deluxe blended Scotch whiskey. Carefully selected malt and grain whiskeys are blended together to create a Scotch whiskey of outstanding quality. Its distinctive yet subtly smoky taste is appreciated by connoisseurs around the world. This fine whiskey is 3 years old. Now, I don't know what source they can quote to show that connoisseurs around the world drink this. Maybe the 12-year aged, but that's all just marketing stuff, you know what I mean? This uses 42 whiskeys, a blend of 42 single malt and grain whiskeys. I'm thinking it's probably like, you know, 30 grain whiskeys and 12 single malts. I really don't know. This, I know in the old advertisements, they would talk about, I was looking at some ad from 1969, and they were saying they use over 50, I think they were saying they would use over 50 whiskeys in this. I really don't know. All right, well, let's get on with the taste challenge. I mean, compared to the J&B bottle, the 100 Pipers to me is kind of shabby looking. Now, my friend David said, I heard of that stuff. That's a bar whiskey. I said, what do you mean a bar whiskey? He said, you know, like they just have it at a bar, and if you ask for scotch or whatever, they'll pour that. Makes sense. It's inexpensive here in America, so. There's a website for it, the Indian website. Okay, so, but it hadn't been updated in a while. If you ask me, that's kind of sad because these companies, William Kepley and I were talking about this last night, how these companies, these are big corporations and they're lazy. They can't even do a website decently. Like the infamous Pabst Brewing Company, which is atrocious how they are handling their stuff these days. That's pathetic. But here's Pernod-Ricard, not exactly a small company. You can't update the 100 Pipers website for years. Current events, nothing. You know, like there's nothing happening. I mean, it's just sickening, really. But we'll survive. And you have other companies that constantly engaged in updating their websites and new information and and always have current events and what's happening now. Kind of like a good example for that is Miller Coors, Molson Coors. Molson Coors, Miller Coors, they're always updating. They've got their blog. They're constantly putting new information out. They even write stories about other companies, stories of interest. So that's the most engaged. Now, they did a bad job with the dang Miller Genuine Draft, but that was under the old ownership, SAB Miller. Things were starting to slip. I noticed kind of bad there. But then once it got bought out by Molson Coors, it was revitalized, and now it's energetic. So when you see a company that's energetic and engaged and involved with their products, it makes you think they care, and then it makes you care. On the other hand, when you see companies that do nothing, have no updates, you get the impression they don't care about their own products. And when they don't care, why should the consumer care? You know, we're just tasting these products. We're buying them and tasting them. It's not our problem. Their problem is not our problem. Now, you might say, yeah, but what if they go out of business? You can't get their stuff anymore. I'm sure we'll live. We can go get something else. I used to drink Bud Dry. They stopped making it. I didn't have a nervous breakdown over it. I just said, oh, well, hell, I'll get something else. All right. And I miss it. I used to like it. It's their fault. They didn't do anything to promote it. They let all that stuff just get relegated to the trash bin, and then it eventually got discontinued. Michelob Dry, Bud Dry, they didn't promote it. They even had Olympia Dry. Dry Olympia, it was called Dry Olympia. I have a can. I bought a 6-pack of Baton Rouge. Okay, so let's get into this. Diageo, yes, they do good work with their websites. Their websites are up to date. They're responsive. They're engaged. GetOnTheBar.com. Really good information. Now, they need to do some changes since they sold 19 of their brands off to Sazerac. So that Sazerac needs to update their stuff. They're a little bit behind it. You know, their websites are a little kind of like a la 2008. You know what I mean? Kind of like old tech. Kind of crummy looking. But they do have good written information. But now the greatbourbons.com is a good website for them. Barton 1792 distillery website, Buffalo Trace website. So it's just I'm talking about the main home page. The home website for Sazerac's kind of low tech. So the appearance, as you can see, the J&B is much light. Whoops, maybe you can't see if I got to put it in the camera. The J&B is lighter. It's more greenish gold. These Scotch whiskey sometimes be greenish gold, kind of like Budweiser. And then did I stutter? The 100 Pipers is just straight up gold, greenish gold, lighter and gold. 3-year aged versus no age statement. Bottled in Kentucky after being shipped over here in tanks. Distilled, blended, aged, and bottled all in Scotland. That doesn't really matter. There's so many whiskeys that they distill and age in one place and bottle somewhere else that it's just, George Dickel is a good example. Canadian Club. Produced in Canada, bottled in Illinois. That's the truth. Okay, and it goes on and on and on and on until the break of dawn, which hopefully will happen here soon because this is a Dawn Busters and the dawn is not breaking. Maybe it is. It's cold outside. Here it's 35 degrees. Now some people would laugh at that and say, you don't live where I live because it's way colder here. I'm sorry. It's too cold for me in Louisiana. This is too cold. Okay, for me. Never will you hear me complain about the heat. I work with a guy like that. He said, I don't mind the heat. I like it. I said, me too. Some people like cold, some like heat, some like moderate temperatures. See, that's diversity. we promote diversity, as you well know. You know, the real diversity, not the other thing. All right. Not the fake kind. All right. I have to answer all my comments from the last 12 hours. I haven't had a chance. I know people have been making comments. I hadn't answered them. No disrespect meant. Just hadn't had a chance. We'll do it. Always do it. Every day. And if I do skip a day, which is very rare, I will catch up. I've ranted and raved about that for years, about beer reviewers who don't answer comments. And if they do, it's almost like it's a chore for them. Like, thanks, bye. You know, like, screw off, because I'm a big shot beer reviewer. I don't have time to answer your comments. I don't have time for the little people, which to me is insanity, you know. And as a viewer, like, I watch the videos all the time, right? Like you do. And I make comments, but many won't answer at all. At all. Nothing. Because you, the viewer, don't count. But you can buy a t-shirt now. You can buy some merch. That'll be the day for me. Okay. This is rich and sweet. That's my impression. Rich and sweet. with some underlying grain, alcohol, grain like corn. Smells kind of heavy in the nose, like maybe it's 100 Pipers, you know what I mean? This is much more peaty. It has a fruit component. What kind of fruit? I don't know. There's no real fruit in it. That's coming from that Speyside single malt. I know this has got to be J&B now. So keep that in mind. I'm really calling it at this point. This is J&B. That's 100p, 100 Pipers. I'm going to taste it just for the sake of tasting it, but I'm pretty sure already. Which one smells better? Well, the 100 Pipers. The 100 Pipers smells fine. There's nothing off about it. It just smells like more common blended whiskey like you get with these American ones, but some of those can present really funny, unpleasant or incorrect things like, nah, a whiskey shouldn't smell like melon, like honeydew melon and fruit stripe gum and all that. No, that's, but this isn't going to that extent of the weirdness. This one smells like something you would expect from Scotland, like the sea. You know, no part of the island of Great Britain is more than 70 miles from the sea. It's a seafaring country, you know. I'm very close to the sea. Okay, so taste, but whatever. I'll taste it. You get a little smoked pork, a lot of grain alcohol, meaning corn liquor. Let's call it what it is. Grain neutral spirits, whatever. It's just maize if you're in Europe, corn if you're in America. It's distilled corn distillate, cut with water. I mean, come on, enough's enough. And yeah, I guess some breadiness from some single malts put in there. What are the single malts using 100 Pipers? I don't know. Over here now. You see, over here is a lot more bread, like bread dough, smokiness. There's a smoke from top to bottom, smokiness. Is it heavy? No, it's there. It's like that Oak Spire ale I did, the New Belgium Oak Spire with the maker's mark. I said it had a predominant bourbon flavor, vanilla and all that, top to bottom. But it wasn't bold. It wasn't a bold. It was predominant. Like if you don't like bourbon, you're going to hate the Oak Spire. It's just not a bold flavor. It's very mellow. You might say it's a little too dull or something. But it was interesting. But this one is the same way. There's smoke, yes, but it's not bold or off-putting. And I don't know, people, I remember I never had tried Scotch before, and somebody was telling me, you're not going to like that. It's too smoky. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I like smoky stuff. Why wouldn't I like it? And you got this peat. How do you describe peat? If you never had that, it's hard to describe it to a person. You have to experience it more than me describe it to you. And I think that's true for many products, beer, wine, liquor. If you're not experiencing it with the person, they could describe it, but you're never going to really grasp it. And that's why I never watch videos for beers I have never tried, or whiskey or wine or brandy or whatever. If I've never had it, I can't relate to it. You can tell me how wonderful it is. You could say, oh man, this Trillium is so wonderful. Well, that's nice. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I've never had it. I can't relate to it, so I'm not going to watch the video. Nothing personal. I just can't stay interested in it. That's why we were kind of complaining about me and somebody off the air. I won't name him because he may not want his name. But we were kind of complaining about Wild Card Wednesday about it's nice because everybody can bring what they want. But when people are bringing in obscure beers that 99% of people can't get, it's kind of boring to listen to that, honestly. To me, I just sit there and like, you might have seen me in some of those hangouts. I'm like, It's like, let me describe this obscure New England beer that I bought at this obscure place, and it's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. I just had no interest in it. Now, I used to like the hangouts where we would find a particular brand of beer, like we're going to examine Ice House. You say Ice House, that's just an example, and then we all talk about it together, and we're concentrating on a single subject, and it's more focused. That's just a preference thing. This is focused because it's J&B and the 100 Pipers, and we're breaking those down one to the other, and I find there's more interest in it. To me, you may not like these taste challenges. I can understand that, and if I didn't like them, I wouldn't watch them. But I'm doing it because I like to do the taste challenges. Okay. This has got to be J&B. There's no doubt. I mean, there's no other way. Maxwell says, hello, Ron. Glad to see you. See you. Well, glad to see you, Maxwell, or at least see your name over there in Russia. Somebody was saying last night, I'd like to join these hangouts. Well, you can join. But this other person I was talking to off air, he was saying it's comical how over the years people have like begged to join. I want to join. So we let them join. Okay, you can join. And then like after 1 week, they quit because they couldn't find the beer once. I couldn't find the beer, never see them again. Well, it's like, well, there's 52 other hangouts coming. I mean, pretty sure you can find those other beers. But that's sort of like that modern mentality of hot for something and then cold for it the next minute. Sort of like an attention deficit disorder mentality of the whole United States and the world, possibly. You hear people say, I love this. They love it. Next thing, how about that? Oh, I don't watch that anymore. What do you mean you loved it? Okay, well, anyway. All right, so this is J&B. I knew it. It's just too obvious. This taste challenge worked out exactly the way I thought. There wasn't any kind of challenge. Now, is the J&B $10 a bottle better? There's the question. That's the real question. Telling them apart, there was no doubt. Is it going to be the same with the JW Dance in 2 days? Yes, I think so. I might have to do a double challenge Saturday. I might have to do a morning and an afternoon because otherwise I'd have to rush too much Sunday, and I don't really feel like rushing. I don't think that it aids anything to rush these. $10 a bottle better. Is it $10 a bottle better? I'm not quite sure about that. It's obvious that 100 Pipers is vastly inferior to J&B. It's inferior. It tastes like grain alcohol, and you could just buy a cheap American blended whiskey, and it's probably just as good as this stuff. Well, why is this more expensive? It ain't really that more expensive. It's $8.99 a bottle, and it's imported all over from Scotland. It's about as cheap as they come. I mean, we're talking bottom of the barrel. The only thing cheaper than that I've ever seen is Piper Dean, which is a really grim blended Scotch whiskey imported and bottled in Kentucky for Albertsons grocery store chains. Chains, plural, because they own more than one chain. But there ain't much going for this thing. You could eat a box of Cheerios. You could eat some Cheerios. You probably would get a similar experience, or some some Surefine or Best Choice, you know, store brand corn flakes, and it's about on that level. It's cheap and it tastes like it. We got to be honest about this. The more you sip on it, the more that grain alcohol burn comes through. Burn, like my friend says, it's bitey or it burns. Yeah, kind of does, because it's not refined. It's not elegant. There's nothing elegant about it. The bottle doesn't even. The bottle's kind of clunky looking. There's nothing elegant about it, its presentation, and there's nothing elegant about the flavor. You say, yeah, but I'm an alcoholic. I have to have bulk products to drink all day. Yeah, I've kind of taken a mental note of who's buying the 100 Pipers. I've watched them and I've thought to myself, you say, you're judging. I'm not judging, I'm evaluating. You understand? I'm not saying I'm better than these people or whatever. I'm just looking at them thinking, I got a feeling this is a person that drinks a lot of Scotch whiskey every week. And I mean bottles, not a bottle, bottles. And they're buying the 100 Pipers. Why? Because of the elegant flavor that they just love? Nah, man. They're buying it because it's the cheapest stuff in the store. And if that's what they like, or if that's what they can tolerate to facilitate their addiction, who am I to judge? Nah, you say that's not a good, you shouldn't be talking like that. But let's face facts. That is part of this world. We do not endorse it. We don't support it. We don't advocate it. But this is the role a lot of these, if you want to call them rot gut, but that's not really a true term, because rot gut is really phony liquor that will kill you. They have problems with that in Russia and India. It's like suspect. It kills people because it's not legitimate stuff. But in America, even if you get the cheapest of the cheap, it still has some quality. Even the 100 Pipers has some quality, just not much. Hey, so what's up, Ron? Oh, just finishing up the taste challenge. So, but the J&B, it is in the acceptable area, not by a whole lot, honestly. This is not some kind of world-class product. You know what I mean? It's on sale for $18.99 a bottle sometimes. Why is that? Because it's inexpensive. It's not bottom shelf. It's one shelf above the bottom, or two shelves above the bottom. But this, you go to the grocery store here and you look at the Scotch section. At the very top, they got those boxes, you know, they're in the really pretty boxes. $158 a bottle. $269 a bottle. You know it's going to be way better than what I'm fooling with today. Then you look at the bottom of the shelf. 100 Pipers. Ooh. $8.99 on sale perpetually. Off sale, it's $9.99. Grants. I never had Grants, but I see that all the time. These products are not slotted on accident. They're slotted because that's where they need to be. Okay. But J&B is not bad. Not bad. I would recommend it for if you can. I would recommend J&B if you can drink it in context. All right. 100 Pipers, I'm not going to recommend. I mean, you could drink it if you want. The only reason I ever bought the stuff was just to say I tried it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting there paying $8.99 thinking it's going to be some fabulous thing. I had enough sense to realize that. But, okay, I bought it. I have 60% of the bottle left, if not more. Yeah, I'll drink it. I won't hate it. Ain't going to love it. Don't look forward to it. Have you tried Glenfiddich 12-year-old? No, I haven't, but I've heard many good things about it. Many good things. Many, many, many good things. Okay, so we're closing this out. And then in 2 days, we're going to do the JW Dance. Only aged 3 years. Also from Heaven Hill. Well, at least it's handled by Heaven Hill, let's say. It's produced in Scotland, and then Heaven Hill handles it over here. But I think they own it because JW Dant was an American company, one of the oldest ones, one of the old ones, since 39. Famous for bourbon, actually, straight bourbon whiskey and blended whiskey, but bourbon. And then JW Dant Company brought in Scotch and everything. It's like a line of liquor. Now it's budget brand, but the JW Dant is a good deal better than the. To me, the 100 Pipers can't measure up to Dant, which is funny because you know how much I paid for a liter of Dant, a liter, not $7.50 like this, 1 liter, $8.99, and it's better. Is it better by a wide margin? No, but it's better, and it's $8.99 for a liter, and the stinking. I shouldn't say all those things. The 100 Pipers is the same price for a $7.50. Suntory Japanese whiskey is supposed to be good also. Yes, I was pleased with it. Now, my friend David took exception to it. He didn't like it. We had the Suntory Tokai. Yes, we could taste the rice. They use rice as their adjunct, as their filler. You know, in Scotland and Canada and in the United States, they're going to use maize or corn. Same thing. Corn as their filler. But in Japan, their filler is the rice. And you can't help but taste it. It's so obvious. It gives it a different aspect. I was very pleased with it. I thought it was something he didn't like. He didn't like it. So, and then we tried another Japanese blended whiskey. They're all they're mimics of Scotch. Because that's what they love in East Asia, Scotch. You know, bourbon, psh, forget it. Bourbon is popular in America. In Asia, East Asia, South Asia, Europe, no, sorry. Not really. So I was pleased with the Suntory, but he didn't care for it too much. But that's how it goes. Mr. Amazing says, good morning, good sir. Good morning to you. So, well, I still never answered the question, is it $10 better? Oh, I don't know. That's $10. You could buy 2 bottles. You could buy 2 bottles of 100 Pipers for every 1 bottle of J&B. It depends on what your purpose is. I mean, it's all about what you are trying to achieve with your buying habits. So, be me, I would probably pay the $10 and get the J&B. But I wouldn't pay no way I'd pay more than $10. No way. And that's pushing it. I got it because it was $18.99. Now, when you go over 10, now you got to start wondering, wait a minute, hold on. If I'm going to do that, I'll just go ahead and pay $35 and get the Buchanan's 12-year aged. Because the Buchanan's 12-year age will destroy J&B. Destroy it. You say, well, they're all blended Scotch. I know that. I'm doing the videos. But J&B is, it can't even begin to approach the Buchanan's 12-year. So you got to look at it like that. Now, you may as well get the $35 out of your wallet and get something really good. Now, my friend down the street, he said, oh, yeah, Dewar's. And the Dewar's 12. Okay, I tried them. Well, Dewar's is fine, but it's on the level of J&B, Cuddy Sark. I mean, why do you think it's $19.99 a bottle? Because it's world class? No, it's $19.99 a bottle because it's cheap. And it's aged 3 years, and there you go. The 12-year, okay, $24 a bottle. Yeah, it's nice. good. It's quality. It is quality. It is quality. But I mean, to say, oh, it's a life-changing experience. I drank Dewar's 12 years. It's a life-changing, no. And when he said it was better than the Johnny Walker Blue Label, my jaw dropped. If you watch the video, I made a face, you know, like, because people say, you can't hide your face. You won't say anything, but I could tell. And after I made the face, I was thinking, I hope nobody noticed that, but I'm sure everybody did. I was thinking to myself, there's no way, that's impossible. There's no way that a $23 bottle of blended Scotch whiskey, even if it's aged 12 years, is going to even come close to Johnny Walker Blue Label. That's $250 a bottle or more. But I didn't say a word. But then again, I've never tried the Blue Label. He has, but I just can't see it. Seagram said, okay, now back to the comments. Seagram 7 Crown isn't bad either. I've had it. Oh, yeah, that's the champ. Yeah, if you're talking about American blended whiskey, I think Seagram 7 Crown is the champ. I haven't tasted anything better. Have I tasted every American blended whiskey? No. How do you think I've tasted every American blended whiskey when there's like 500 different brands? How could that happen? You know I haven't tasted them all. But 7 Crown is the best I've had. Random question says, Hayes, do you think Sam Adams Boston Lager is worth buying and drinking? My answer is yes. Mr. Mallow says, sup, Thug Life, it's me, Mr. Mallow. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, actually. All right, well, I got a beer review I'm going to upload in a minute. It's called Lawson's Finest Sip of Sunshine. I was very pleased with that India Pale Ale, that Imperial India Pale Ale, 8%. It was dynamite. Wasn't the best I ever had, but it was way up there. Oh yes. Then we got the Saucony Creek X Reserve coming up tomorrow to be posted. Boy, what a dynamite product that was. Woo, thank you, Kevin, for sending me all these beers. And then Saturday, I think I have to post 2 videos. One is Saucony Creek Lager, a Pilsner. They claim it's a Pilsner. I didn't find it was a Pilsner, but it's a lager. But it was good. We liked it. And then the Rockdale Classic. You say, not that again. A revisit, yeah. You may be shocked. I know I was. Let's leave it at that. You may be shocked. I know I was. Okay. Hayes says, got to go. I'll see you later, Ron. Take it easy. Thanks for the talk. Oh, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. I understand I'm off for work today, but I got to go back to work tomorrow. Okay. Thanks for watching this video production.